As always, it is my pleasure that you join me for today's podcast of Second Chance Coaching. My name is Dr. Richard Lewis. If you'd be so kind as to leave me a rating and your feedback, I would very much appreciate it, and it will help others like you to optimally discover this podcast wherever you listen to this and your other favorite podcast. As you know, at Second Chance Coaching, we focus on seeing everyday life through the eyes of the returning citizen and highlighting the resiliency of the human spirit. I would love to work with you one-on-one, whether you're a returning citizen or coaching client seeking your second chance, or you're a representative of a business, college, or university seeking to integrate and support returning citizens in your respective organizational and learning environments. Please feel free to contact me via email at richard@secondchancecoaching.com or via Instagram at the Dr. Richard Lewis. Welcome again to another edition of Second Chance Coaching. As always, it is my pleasure to join you on another week of your reentry journey from whichever corner of the world you're listening from. We always remain humbled and excited that you've decided to spend part of my favorite week with us. Hope everything is going well on your side of the world. It's been a busy week like most weeks, but not too crazy this time. On the condo front, we closed on our loan so we could start the process of installing a new roof and completing our concrete restoration to pass our 40-year inspection. As far as work at school is going, it's going normal. The biggest part of our week is that we now have a new permanent president at our college, and so we'll definitely see how that goes. So we're looking forward to that. The faculty senate is going well, and that's going well as far as, getting used to all the roles that I have to play. Not too many office hours now. My office hours are more mobile, but certainly looking forward to what the new president has in mind and how he's looking to serve the administrators, staff, faculty, and students. As far as the faculty senate's going, it's going well. And really, during the course of the week, I was thinking of what would be my topic, and I could not think of one whatsoever. But I can tell you what I like about this podcast is I really spend the week looking for topics in the everyday issues of life that I go through, as this is a podcast about the everyday walk on one's reentry journey. Sometimes there are big issues that I look at. Other times it's just really the fundamental day-to-day issues. But this week I was really stuck on finding a topic. Maybe because I'm looking forward to this Saturday, because now there's no more working on Saturdays. I could begin to enjoy my Saturdays. And next weekend, I have the entire traditional weekend. In its entirety. No more working the weekends anymore, at least for the most part. And I certainly want to take the time to thank my circle of family, friends, and loved ones for being so patient with me going through these last 39 months of not having the ability to connect with me consistently. It's tough when you're working shifts that people are not working and you have free time when everyone's at work. And that's been going on for the last 3 years. So now hopefully there's a more normal work schedule and I can sit there and begin to connect with people more and continue to keep on what I want to do for 2025 and beyond. I was having that conversation this week with my sister, who I've always been close with, but particularly going on last 6 years, we've been exceptionally close as we've been able to share with one another, in our grief and our struggle, and really get to know one another in a way that's punctuated by our trust in one another and sharing strong levels of confidence with one another. This made me think about how important confidentiality and trust is along this reentry journey. I also look at confidentiality and trust as the measure of how loyal an individual is. Maybe we'll talk about loyalty at another point in time, but certainly that the confidentiality and trust, I really look at that as a measure of one's loyalty, which is very important. Even people I may no longer be on good terms with, if they have shared confidences with me and put their trust in me, and I'm not going to violate that. Their trust is valuable to me, and it is something that I will not ever violate, even if we're not at a place where we're friends anymore. That that value, I'm going to be more loyal to that value of trusting and protecting that integrity that protecting that trust and that confidence that they shared with me when we were on good terms. As a second chance coach, even as the president of my condo board, I'm told a great many things that are just personal, very intimate, and even if I'm not held to a promise, I believe that the confidence that was held for me should outlast the relationship. And even though I don't have that covenant as a condo board president, I feel that if someone's going to share something with me, it's important as a leader to keep that confidence intact. And especially as a reentry coach, as a second chance coach, the ups and downs one goes through in their reentry journey while life is not taking a time out for them can be turbulent, exciting, frustrating, and exhilarating all at once. But even in that dynamic, someone has to feel that there's a safe place to talk and feel protected with me. As a professor, and even working at the airport, I am duty bound by laws such as FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and SSI, which is Sensitive Security Information. Um, FERPA protects student information, and SSI keeps trade secrets and transportation security private from the public. In the new positions I'm contemplating over, they both involve being bound to be confidential and be trusted with high levels of information. Information I would not even share with my loved ones. The ultimate level of confidentiality and trust, I have to say, I share with my daughter and my sister and my niece, you know, is my life and and valuable documents. So the ultimate trust I share with them is my life, literally, and valuable documents, that I share, such as, if I'm not able to speak, or my last will and testament. Especially since mom has passed, I make sure that they know where to go in case I'm unable to speak for myself, or upon the inevitability of my passing, if I go before them, what they should do. You might say to yourself, Richard, I just started on this journey. Well, I don't have nothing to leave anyone behind. Believe me, you do. Even if it's the clothes on your back, you have something to leave behind. I I composed with legal assistance my first last will and testament when I was 22 years old. So for the last 31 years, I've had some sort of end of life documents ready to go in case something was to happen to me, because I didn't want that difficulty to take place for my loved ones. Now, confidentiality and trust is really not for everyone. As a matter of fact, this level of access into your circle that you can learn through experience are really reserved for select people in your circle. I'm blessed that I have them, and I don't have to point out who they are because they know who they are. My sister, my niece, my daughter are three of them, but there are more people in my circle that I really have in that confidentiality and trust circle, and they know who they are. I don't even have to say it to them. They already know. And at this point of the podcast, usually when we're talking, I could give you researched information I found to be an aid or a guide to this week's topic. Now, I do have that, but ultimately, how is confidentiality and trust really built with anyone? Over time, it's really built over time and life putting that confidentiality and trust in that person to the test to demonstrate that those individuals are worthy of that designation from you. Now, it doesn't mean that you intentionally test them, but life has a way of testing people out, and you'll see it for yourself, especially when you're contemplating whether or not to put your trust and into someone or some people. Life will definitely show you whether or not they're worthy of that effort. Now, of course, I did look up a little research. It may not be the key to everything, but I did look up a little research, and I looked on LinkedIn.com, and it gives us 6 ways under their learning community that we could use communication skills to maintain confidentiality and trust. And those 6 things are really are quick. 1, understand the scope of the confidentiality. 2, choose the appropriate channel and tone. 3, use clear and concise language. 4, respect boundaries and preferences. 5, follow up and follow through. And 6, there could be other things that you want to consider. So number 1, let's look at understanding the scope of the confidentiality. Now, this is, of course, it's LinkedIn, so it's talking about a lot in regards to business. but this could be applied to your personal circle as well. So number one talks about understanding the scope of the confidentiality. So really, before you start any communication, you need to know what information is confidential and what is not. Even people in my personal circle that we always say, look, this is confidential between you and I. Even though I'm confident that they won't share it, I establish with them that what I'm about to tell you right now is confidential. And they do the same thing with me. And there's nothing wrong with that. It eliminates any misunderstanding. Number two, choose the appropriate channel and tone. Once you know what's confidential, choose the best way to communicate it with those who share that common knowledge. Should it be through text? Should it be through phone? Should it be person to person? However way that should be done. But if you know something is confidential, then make sure that you're sitting there using the channels and tones that's appropriate for that confidentiality and that trust. Number three, I can't emphasize this enough, especially as a speech communication professor. Use clear and concise language. You know, the simple of it is you use clear and concise language that both of us understand to make sure that we're avoiding any misunderstandings, that we both know we come away knowing that we're coming away with the same exact feeling, the same exact thought process, just the same exact everything. Number four, we want to respect boundaries and preferences. Respect the boundaries and preferences of your communication partners, how you want to communicate, the way in which you communicate, the tone in which you communicate, how we speak to one another. One of the things that I definitely do as far as boundaries and preferences, I do not like conversational texting. Conversational texting does nothing but open the door to a lot of misunderstandings, maybe some hurt feelings, and God forbid, arguments. So the outside of how are you, how's everything, this, and that, if there's a more deep and conversation to have, then you know what? Let's use the phone for what it's intended for, to actually use and talk on the phone, if that's the boundary and preference that we want to. But I cannot emphasize enough that having a clear communication that is mitigated as much as possible without technology, is really good as far as respecting boundaries and preferences for you and those that are in your communication circle. Number five, follow up and follow through. Confirm on the receipt and understanding of your communication, as well as, provide updates. Let it be known that, yeah, this is still confidential. This is still between you and me. It's ongoing. We're respecting those boundaries with one another. Let's make sure that we're following up and follow through. And that really builds the level of confidentiality and trust that you could have in that person and that person in your circle. And number six is really, it says, here's what else to consider. And what else is there to consider? And we'll go back to what I said, the time and trust to allow that confidentiality and trust to grow. I think, like all of us, I've been in situations where I have seen that my confidentiality and trust has been well placed to the people I've placed them in. And there have been times that confidentiality and trust has been completely violated and has disappointed me. And what does that help me understand? It helps me understand that confidentiality and trust is not something that I freely give. It's not something that is easily earned, but it could be so easily thrown away that you want to make sure that people are not violating that about you, because if you take the time to really spend, really revealing and spending that special part of you with someone and really getting them to understand you, for that to be violated is really that's just, I don't know how else to say it. That's just really a bad thing. But on the other hand, when you have those in your circle that you really can have that confidential and trust circle with, or as when you see the movie Meet the Parents, the circle of trust, as Robert De Niro's character said, it really helps and feels comfortable that you're in that safe place, that you're in that zone, that you could be yourself with the people that love you and you love them back. So, as always, I enjoy this. I really, really enjoy this favorite part of the week. We put out the podcast a little late today, but not too late. We wanted to make sure that we had it out today on Wednesday because it was definitely a busy week. I'm looking forward to ending my overnights. That by that time we speak next week, I would have finished my last overnight working and going back to a schedule where I could just work strictly during the day. And with me teaching at night, it's just no later than 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So, and with Saturdays and Sundays off, that's going to be sweet. And not only to have the personal relaxation, but really be able to connect not only with the second chance clients, with family, friends, and loved ones that, having that common ground and having that dynamic. I really love seeing family and friends. They really don't realize how much it means to me and how it uplifts me to see them. And I hope that I do the same for them for sure. I even had one cousin of mine talk to me about saying, hey, I'm in Jacksonville and, let's meet in Orlando for a weekend and one time to sit there and make that happen. And certainly, cousin, if you're listening, we're going to make that happen. Absolutely, for sure. I even put down money for a cruise for 2026 that I put out to a lot of family. My sister and I did, to say, hey, let's have a reunion. Let's meet up on this cruise. So now it's real. I put down my deposit last night for that 2026 cruise that I know it'll be paid off in more than enough time. So I'm looking forward to that. But once again, thank you. Thank you for always sharing your time with me. Thank you for continuing to spread second chance coaching to your friends, family, and loved ones. I see this week and the starting off month of February, we are in where we've penetrated Australia again. So thank you for our friends down under for supporting us and being part of our second chance family. Certainly, Florida, Tennessee, Virginia has been really supportive in the United States for the start of February. So, once again, thank you. Once again, thank you for sharing your time, and thank you for continuing to spread second chance coaching. We always enjoy this favorite part of the week, and I look forward to spending more time with you again next week. Thank you again for joining us here at Second Chance Coaching. In addition to coaching services for individuals and businesses, I'm also available for speaking engagements and workshops on criminal justice reentry, human resources, as well as organizational culture and leadership. Feel free to email me at richard@secondchancecoaching.com, as well as connect with me on Instagram at @DrRichardLewis. Remember, every day you are given this opportunity for your second chance, and I know you'll make the best of it. I love you all, and I look forward to connecting with you next time here at Second Chance Coaching.